remember back when I married my husband. I had just turned 17, he had just turned 18, and we thought we were all grown up. We thought we were big stuff, and so we went off into the grand world. He was stationed at Fort Knox in Kentucky, and when we got down there, we rented a little apartment, and it was in the basement of a decrepit old mansion. But I was in love, and we would just make it through anything. Well, every other night, he stayed at the barracks, and I stayed in the decrepit old place for myself. We had no TV, we had no radio, we had no money, we knew no people. We had taken our last pennies and we had bought a loaf of bread and a package of bologna. We were living high, honey. And I remember the first night that he was gone and I was sitting there thinking of what to do next. I decided I'd have a bologna sandwich. So I made my way into the kitchen and turned on the light, and things ran all over my walls. Like moving wallpaper, you know? I came from the suburbs of Michigan, and I didn't have running things on my walls. So I wasn't like real happy. I was like grossed out. And I went over to the cabinet where the bread was and opened it, and they had already been there. They were running around inside the package, and I thought, okay, you can handle this. You can do this, honey. But my rubber bands were starting to fray. And I turned and I thought, okay, the refrigerator. They're not in the refrigerator, so I'll go just get a piece of bologna. So I headed for the refrigerator, and as I did, the biggest rat you have ever seen ran out from under the refrigerator and looked at me. Now, Sheila, last night you talked about defining moments. That was one of them for me. We had like eye contact. And I turned and I ran for my life to the kitchen table, got up on the chair on top of the table, and there I stood with my rubber bands. And I was just crying and I was scared and I didn't have anywhere to turn, and then I thought of God. Dear Lord, you probably don't remember me, but I know you like my mother a lot. And I'm just feeling so pulled on and stretched and out of shape and disjointed and fragmented, and I keep talking and finally I shut up and start listening. There was something that happened to me that I had never experienced, and that is a peace that passes all understanding came over me. I leaned back and I fell asleep. I don't mean I just napped. I mean I fell sound asleep. I didn't wake up until the next morning when there was a knock on my door, and I answered it, and there was my aunt and my uncle. And they just happened to be in town from over 100 miles away, and they had just happened to talk to my mother the day before, who had just happened to give them my address and said if they were ever nearby, why didn't they stop in and say hello? While they were saying that, I was loading my belongings in their vehicle. Left a note from my husband, "It's been nice, get rid of the rat, love me." And I was gone, honey.